People start social media for one of two things. Either they stumble upon it and they kind of started as a hobby, a pet project, and then it kind of explodes and becomes big, or other people do it very strategically. I was the latter, believe it or not. And I was going to move to London for my master's in law when there was an internship that popped up. And I was pure academic through and through, but this was a fashion internship. There was something about it that excited me. My mom and dad were like, no, this blogging thing is a nice hobby, but like, no. And I'm like, I need to trust my gut. Believe me, this is gonna change our lives. That decision is the reason why I'm sitting here today. I flew to Cannes already having a slight fever and a bit of a throat issue, but I was like, you know what, it's fine. It'll be fine, let's just fly. We're gonna sleep a lot. The next morning, wake up and you'll be fine. And then the next morning I woke up looking like Shrek. Now what, do we cancel? Do I not go? Because my fever is also getting worse, like this is not working. And I felt at that point too, that beauty is not your face. And you walking Cannes is not for your beauty. It's for representation, it's for the message. And you didn't get to Cannes only because of your beauty. You got there because of your determination, because of what you stand for. Like this is information no one knows because...
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of A Millennial Mind. If you haven't already, please, can you do me a massive favor and press the subscribe or follow button wherever you're listening or watching to this. Only 4% of you that watch and listen to this podcast are actually following it. And the bigger the show gets, the bigger the guests get, and the bigger the experience gets too. Thank you so much for all of your support so far. Let's get into the episode.
Diipa,
Hi.
welcome to Millennial Mind.
Thank you.
Thank you for making the time for me. I know you're only here for 2 days and for dealing with my constant emails, my DMs, speaking to like every member of your team.
No, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
For people who don't know who you are, give us a little bit of an introduction about yourself.
Ooh,
It's a hard question, that one.
it is. How do you... I am Indian. I am born and raised in India. At the age of 17, moved to Europe and to the Netherlands. So I kind of see my life as like a half-half at this point.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard the term TCK?
No.
It's a third cultured kid. And
Okay.
it's basically you've grown up in various cultures that you kind of make a culture of your own, a third culture. And I think a lot of who I am today is because of that, like the different upbringings, the different cultures I've been exposed to, different people I've met through my life. And so I think Diipa is a combination of all these different experiences in a person.
I love that. That's so powerful. So tell me the start of your journey, because obviously we're going to talk around Ind Wild in a minute, but I want to know from the start, what kind of made you start social media and kind of grow as well?
I think people start social media for one of two things. I think it's either they stumble upon it and they kind of started as a hobby, a pet project, and then it kind of explodes and becomes big, or other people do it very strategically. I was the latter, believe it or not.
Wow.
So I was a law student who had nothing to do with the world of social media, didn't even know of its existence. I remember it was actually a message from my brother who said, hey, there's this app called Instagram, look into it, it's all about photos. I'm like, okay, but I don't even know what to do there.
Yeah.
And I was gonna move to London for my master's in law when there was an internship that popped up. And I was a pure academic through and through, but this was a fashion internship.
Okay.
And I've always had an affinity to fashion, I'll say. Like I wasn't one of those who knew everything about it, but there was something about it that excited me. So I did that internship, and turns out it was the first influencer agency of Europe. And being there, just my world went on a whirlwind. It's like, who are these girls? What is this?
Yeah.
The media landscape was changing at a rapid pace. People weren't reading magazines anymore, TVs, like everything became on demand, social media. So at the kind of pivotal moment, I was right there in the center of the storm, watching this world change at like the beginning of it. And in that agency, I closed deals for people like Chiara Ferragni, who are like the biggest influencers now. And I'm like, hold on a second. What is this social media thing, an influencer thing? And the reason I say I did it very strategically is because in those 3-4 months of that internship, I realized there was no Indian person doing it globally in a big way. And I'm like, there's a lot of us.
Yeah.
1.4 billion plus all the Indians that live everywhere and South Asians to add to that. And secondly, I'm like, this can have a lot of impact. Like it's not just I can see, at least for myself, I've always been a very like vision, plan, goal person. My vision was so clear. If you do this at the right time, right place, do it well, the impact you could have is unbelievable. And so as I think 22, 23-year-old girl back then, I couldn't leave the thought of this, and it just like consumed me. And then I moved to London to do law. And at one point I started the Instagram page and was doing law at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah.
What were you posting about?
Nothing, outfit posts. And my first investor was my mother, who gave me 200 pounds and said, here, you can buy your first outfit. Because I didn't have money. Like we were just, I had a scholarship in law school and we were just trying to make ends meet. And so this 200 pounds was like my kind of budget to shop clothes from. And I reused that 200 pounds many times. So I'd go to Zara, buy the entire outfit, keep the tags on, return it, and then do that over and over again until my first paid deal, I still remember it very clearly, was for 250 euros with this brand called Paul Hewitt. I don't even think it exists anymore. But it was during the Daniel Wellington era. Remember there were these like watch brands, like different ones. This is one of those who sent me some bracelets that I had to post, and I got 250 euros for it. I was so excited. And this is after, I think, 9 to 10 months of doing this. So just consistently. And then soon after, I was still at law school, and then the deals started getting in more and more. And I think I had that very difficult conversation with my Indian parents saying, I think I'm going to leave law. And they were like, you cannot.
Of course.
You cannot. We have spent too much, and like you have studied too hard, and you've come too far to do this now.
So had you graduated, or you were looking for like a law job?
Exactly. Looking for a law job. Yeah. And I was like, not going to happen. And my mom and dad were like, no. This blogging thing is a nice hobby, but like, no. And I'm like, I need to trust my gut. Believe me, this is going to change your life. And they were like, no, it's not. And finally, I did convince them. And I did it. And that decision is the reason why I'm sitting here today. Honestly,
it's so inspiring, but also so relatable to me at the moment, because I also studied law, didn't end up being a lawyer, but then worked as a consultant. And only 6 months ago now, or 5 months ago, I said to my parents, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to do this full time. And they were saying the same thing. It's a hobby. What are you thinking? You're 29, you should be thinking about buying a house and how you're going to have kids. And that's the kind of priority, because we see success as one path. And often when you're doing something different, you're so scared. But during that time, it's the most important time to have the right people around you, because you yourself are uncertain about the future, right? So who was kind of pivotal in helping you make that decision? Because I can imagine, you're so close to your mom. We're going to talk about her in a minute. And having someone, doubt you in that way can often stop you. So what made you push through and make that decision?
I think I would have to give credit to my little sister. I think she's always been, in those initial months, especially, very crucial, because she helped with everything. Like we kind of tag team. Like she was the one who got into photography and did all of that. So she was definitely would be one. But when mom doubted it in the beginning, I think it was also a lot of self-belief. And like, I'm very big on, like, my team will also tell you this, I'm very big on gut and like instinct feeling. And I've learned over life, also manifesting a lot of goals and achievements that believe in that power. And I think I fine-tuned that over years now. But it was that really surety of knowing this is going to do something bigger than me, that I needed to take that path. And then I can convince my mother then. And then it's more like, Mom, look me in the eye. I'm your daughter. I'm going to do this. Trust me. And then I was like, if not, you know what? I'll go find a law job. But trust me, I'm going to do this. And she was like, all right. and still convince your dad. And yeah, I think she's like so proud right now. Honestly.
I can imagine.
And she is always very emotional. She's like, you made it, you did it, you were right. And as a daughter, I think that's the best thing she could have done.
So, like I said, having the right people around you is so important. And seeing your husband now, who is so supportive and such a cheerleader for you, is something that's quite rare. Now, a lot of people are quite skeptical about interracial relationships. And I've spoken to a lot of people that found it quite hard to make that decision or speak to their family. What was that experience like for you? How did you meet Oleg?
So, Oleg was, this is a Bollywood story now.
Okay.
Not even Hollywood, it's Bollywood. He was the very first guy I saw on the very first day of uni. No joke.
Okay.
It was like, okay, well, not quite. But so my parents dropped me off at the main university hall or like area and took out my luggage, put me in the main square and were like, good luck with the next 4 years of your life. And I'm 17, straight off a flight from India in a hoodie, with all this luggage, being like, okay, I guess I'm going to figure out this whole student life thing now. And this guy in my head who looked like James Dean is like walking up to me in this bright red t-shirt that said Granddad. And because the context is that he was a student body president. And so him and his team were grandparents.
Right.
And then the elder students were parents and we were the new kids.
Right.
And so our parents were the ones who kind of took us around, but the grandparents organized everything that week. So he's wearing this Granddad t-shirt. And I'm like, and then he comes up to me and he's like, hi, are you a new student? Can I help you?
Yeah.
Bollywood. And instantly I was like, oh my God, who is this hot guy? Oh my gosh, I got straight off the flight. Do I look good? I don't even know how I look.
Yeah.
And he's like, why don't you come sit inside my office? I'll sort you out. And I'm like, who is he? And back then, as a 17-year-old, whenever I got slightly nervous, I would get bitchy. And so he is being so kind to me and I'm kind of like, yeah, okay. Yeah. And he's like, where are you from? Oh, India. Wow, what a fascinating country. Tell me more. I'm like, yeah, it's cool. Whatever.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, exactly, bye. And the funny thing is, years later, we went on our first date, and Oleg says it today as well, that he met 700 students that week, all new students. He does not remember how he met any of his friends for the first time. He remembers exactly who I was, what I was wearing, what I said to him. So there was that initial spark that we both had.
The chemistry.
But exactly, like undeniably, like the room could explode. Like there was that initial tension, but because I was 17, he was 21. We're a 4-year difference. And he was in his final year, I was in my first year. We didn't have any classes, nothing together.
Yeah.
That he graduated soon after. So nothing really happened.
Was he living here still?
No, he moved to London, actually. So he got King's, became a diplomat, blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
And I kind of started my journey as an influencer. All that stuff happened. But we always wished each other happy birthday.
Yeah.
That was the only contact. One of those happy birthdays became into a, hey, whenever you're back in town, I'd love to take you out for a meal. And back in uni, he was quite notoriously a bad boy.
Okay.
And so I was kind of like, he is not on my radar.
No.
Like, no way. But then he was, so like, if you want to ask me on a date, you can wait. Like, I'm going to play you a bit now because I don't trust you. He waited for 6 months. He kept saying, whenever you're ready, whenever. I'm like, okay, fine. Let me give this guy a shot now.
Yeah.
So we went on our first date in July 2015 and we both knew. Like immediately. 3 months later, I think we were official, even despite living in different countries. And 3 months after that, it was New Year's Eve. And he came up to my ear and he whispered, he's like, this is the year I'm going to ask you to marry me. And I was like,
oh my God.
And then we did, and we got engaged, and we got married, and then we had a baby, and here we are.
And in that, so was it difficult to kind of break that to your parents in terms of that interracial side?
Yes. I would say less difficult than perhaps a lot of stories I've heard, just because I think my parents already had a bit more of an open mind because we were in Europe and, you know, they weren't naive to know that we're only going to fall for Indians or like people within our community. So I think that, but still, I'm sure till today, my dad would be way happier if it was a Punjabi and he had like a Punjabi son-in-law, blah, 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 drinking whiskey on the side. But Oleg does all of that with him now.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately, you know, my parents really wanted what would make me happy. And my brother had kind of already broken it for me because he had a Danish girlfriend.
Okay.
So it was kind of already the family like, okay, we're going out of the normal expected thing.
Yeah.
And if you meet him, you'll know he's just such a warm, fantastic human being that he made my mom fall in love with him in like 20 minutes flat. My dad, like they just were so drawn to his warmth and like his cultural understanding. And like he fits right in like a glove. Like it's not like he would be the Gora who stands out. Like, you know, like sore thumb.
As uncomfortable or anything. Yeah.
Like he just fits into everything. And I think that really made it easy. So my family was fine. The community online though, oh my goodness. Like the amount of Stockholm syndrome comments I got that you're marrying the colonizer and that you just want, like you're doing it because you have like sexual issues and that you want to, it was so weird. And especially around our wedding, a lot of patriotic and kind of, you know, manly men and like the Hindu nationalists. It was so weird, like that I married outside my religion, married outside. So I think that was more difficult than my own family, in fact.
Being online and kind of sharing so much is often, you know, there's perks about it, but there's often that other side where it's really difficult to deal with the constant comments and hate. Yeah. Knowing that and being in this industry for so long, you walked the Cannes red carpet and you had an allergy reaction. Tell me about that, because for people who don't know, you know, that must have taken a lot of guts, knowing what an audience can do and say to still push yourself and be so brave and be so authentic and say, hey, look, this is me.
That was a difficult moment. But how did it start? So my daughter, Dua, she went to daycare and she picked up strep throat. So it was like a bacterial infection in her throat. We didn't know about it back then, obviously. So she was slightly sick, but she recovered quite quickly. And my sister went to pick her up first. So then 24 hours after that, my sister started getting a weird throat issue. And then the next morning, she woke up with a swollen face. And I'm like, oh my God, what's happening here? And it's highly contagious, indeed. And that was the day before I left to Cannes. And I was like, okay, just pray nothing's going to happen. It's going to be fine. But now we didn't really know what was happening, to be honest. Dua was kind of sick, and then she was fine. And then Nan had this insane reaction. And then I flew to Cannes, already having a slight fever and a bit of a throat issue. But I was like, you know what? It's fine. It'll be fine. Let's just fly. We're going to sleep a lot. The next morning, wake up and you'll be fine. Arrived at Cannes. The fever got slightly worse overnight. And then the next morning I woke up looking like Shrek. Like it was unreal. Like I just couldn't believe my eyes. And like this has never happened to me before. And my sister and I looked identical at that point because of this very contagious infection. And our body just reacted in this way. And and then it just, I don't even have words for like what was processing through my mind at that point. Because I'm like, now what? Do we cancel? Do I not go? Because my fever is also getting worse. Like this is not working. But I'm here now. Should I just suck it up and go? And I was just going in waves of what am I going to do? And then I remember video calling my mother and just bawling. And obviously, you know, she was there with me then. So she's seen this all happen as like from real life, and called my mom. And my mom was absolutely amazing. And in the beginning, she was freaking out too. And she's like, "Nahi bacha, just come home. Like, forget it. Like, you don't need to do this. Why? Da, da, da. You've done everything you could. Like, it's fine." And then she called me back and she's like, "I thought about it. You're going to go on the red carpet." And I was like, "But I can't. Like, I look like Shrek, Mom. I look like a monster. Like, this is what happened to beauty and everything." And I'm literally getting emotional. But she was like, and I felt at that point too, that beauty is not your face. And you walking Cannes is not for your beauty. It's for the representation. It's for the message. And you didn't get to Cannes only because of your beauty. You got there because of your determination, because of what you stand for, how your community resonates with your story. Like those are messages way bigger than your face and your hair that's all going to fade at one point. And I think the strongest of all was at one point I thought, there must be girls all over the world at uni and work. And at one point don't feel 100%.
Yeah.
Don't feel their beautiful self or don't have acne or have a reaction or something and that they don't want to show up. And if you can show up looking like this and feeling like this, that is going to be an example for them to be like, if Diipa can do it, I can. Being like Shrek, I can do it. And it was still, despite that decision, extremely difficult. Like on the makeup chair, just tears and tears and tears. And the makeup artist at one point literally got mad at me. She's like, will you stop? I can't stop like cleaning your mascara all the time. And then it was finally done. And we put on the dress and we had it. And the funny thing is, dress number 1 didn't fit. Like this is information no one knows because my body swelled up too. I literally, the dress wouldn't zip. Dress number 2 didn't fit. And so we went for like an option that wasn't even an option because it was the only thing that would like barely zip up on my very swollen body.
The white dress, right?
Yeah, I think so. Like a gold.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, exactly. It was the only one that fit. So then I was like, fine, let's just go with this. Like I even more now don't feel like myself. It's not a dress I want to wear. It's not, forget it. It's just one of those days. And we pulled up at the red carpet and of course thousands of photographers, the whole world watching, and I did it. And it was, one of those moments I think I'm going to look back at when I tell my grandkids about one day. Like, it just was a very defining and like a core memory now.
Yeah.
And I'm proud.
You should be. I mean, I'm tearing now listening to it because I can imagine in that moment, you think, being invited there. I know you've been invited for years and years and you were one of the first Indian influencers ever to be there, right? But going, it's such a special, big achievement. You want to feel your best. And naturally, whenever you're doing anything like this, you always have self-doubt, right? Do I look nice? Does this look nice?
Yeah.
But for something like that to happen so suddenly and to kind of manage the team as well, because I'm sure you were working with the designer for the dress and you were working with someone for the makeup.
Of course.
You have to communicate that to everyone else, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's the toughest part that people don't see. It's not just you turning up and managing your own emotions.
Everything.
It's how do you communicate with everyone else?
Yeah.
Oh, and that thing that you said around other people, I believe we all have days where we think our hair doesn't look nice or our body doesn't look nice. And we have, we look in the mirror and we think, I'm not beautiful.
Yeah.
And like you said, beauty is from within.
Yeah.
But a lot of people message me and they say they struggle with their confidence. What advice would you give to younger girls who are kind of going through that moment? And what did you tell yourself in that moment to feel confident?
At that moment, it was just bigger than me, And it wasn't about Diipa, the influencer, walking the red carpet. It was about all of us facing our fears. So it became that. It became more about the message for me than me. But in general life, I think confidence for me is like a muscle. Like I wasn't born confident. I was actually, in fact, a very unconfident child growing up. Like I hide behind my mom and not really want to talk to people. And sometimes I don't believe even that was me. But it's really a muscle you need to work on and put yourself in uncomfortable positions constantly. When uncomfortable just becomes comfortable at one point. Like even public speaking, believe it or not, I couldn't. Like I would like being shaking, my heartbeat, like I couldn't do it. I even remember clearly as a kid, I had to like dress up as Hermione Granger on stage. And I was 12 or something and I just froze. I just froze on stage and then cried. And then somebody's like, you can come out now. I don't think you're doing your thing. And so I had so much stage fright that I just kept putting myself on stage. TED Talk, next TED Talk, Harvard Business School, next thing. Then at one point, that just becomes normal. And that's how confidence works. And put yourself in uncomfortable positions and just take yourself through it. And then it'll become second nature at one point.
I love that. Now, talking of uncomfortable things. I'm sure when you started Ind Wild, nice product placement here. I'm sure when you started it, which I use every day, by the way, and I have been for 3 months before someone says, oh, it's just another marketing ploy. But I've been using it for 3 months and it is amazing. So tell me about it. Why did you start this company? Because there are a lot of skincare companies out there. What's so special about Ind Wild?
Firstly, I think Ind Wild, I really believe, is a destiny brand. And it's a brand that is bigger than me. Again, maybe that's a red thread you hear from everything I'm saying. But I really feel like if you're born on this earth, you need to do things bigger than yourself. And I truly believe in that. And the story behind it is my mom is an Ayurvedic doctor and dermatologist. So I grew up in a world of skincare, in a world of Ayurvedic practices. Like we would wake up with mantras at 5 a.m. and do meditation and yoga. But at the same time, mom was a dermat. So she would know what ingredients to put. So this very fusion life was my life. And then fast forward to when I was a teenager, I had really bad acne. But like a lot of teenagers do, but mine lasted until I was 22. And so it just did not go away. So it wasn't just the teenage hormone thing. It just kept going. I think I did a lot of bad decisions along the way too. With acne, one of the worst things you can do is try too many things.
Yeah.
But being stubborn and not knowing much back then, I would try a new product, next, try Ayurveda, try homeopathy, try Siddha, try modern medicine, dermatology, like everything. My skin barrier was like completely damaged and the acne was everywhere, literally everywhere. And then finally, my mom being a dermatologist at one point was like, honey, you need to stop now and we're going to put you on Roaccutane, which is the highest, like strongest.
That's very harsh.
Yeah, very harsh. But she's like, if you go on this, you promise me you're going to change your lifestyle as well, because it's a very harsh drug. You need to become very healthy and start living a more kind of holistic life as well. So what that lesson taught me was that the combination of chemistry with Ayurveda, which is something that our people have known for 5,000 years, but backing that with science gave me this supernova combination that did it for me. Because Ayurveda is slow beauty. It's maintenance. It's life. It's lifestyle. It's something you got to just keep doing your whole life. While chemistry is innovation. It's science-backed. It's harder hitting.
Right.
And for me, I've not seen that combination before. Like you have Ayurvedic brands that are very heritage first, very, Ayurvedic heavy. And also their packaging is rather for moms and grandmoms. Like it's beautiful, but it's not of the modern Desi person. And while the modern Desi person, I think we have this very beautiful friction point that we can all relate to. And I think a lot of minority cultures can, where on the one hand, we love our culture, we love our heritage, we love our mom, our grandmother, food, weddings, all of that stuff, but we're not our mother and grandmother.
Correct.
We're the women of today. We believe in fact and science, and we believe in innovation and where the world works. But it's a beautiful friction, like it's a celebration one. It's not like an anti one.
Yeah.
And so Ind Wild is the embodiment of that in a product. It is for that modern Desi woman who believes in everything mom and grandmom said, like, put turmeric, put it on your face. We get it. But we science back that. And we're like, yes, with vitamin C. And let's clinically test the entire product to be like, yes, Ayurveda works. Mom and grandmom were right.
Yeah.
And we're going to put some amazing ingredients that dermatologists say work too, and give you this incredible bringing together of both. And I mean, the reviews we've had and the kind of sales we've done, I guess, are a testament to that. And most importantly, I think using our community and really building a community brand, not like a buzzword, but we truly have had them part of the journey. Like it's people like you and me who sat across me in focus groups for like months on end, telling me what their pain points were, telling me we want a vitamin C serum that actually works for our skin type. We want an SPF that is mineral, that doesn't, they said that to me. And so we at Ind Wild really democratize beauty. It's about what do the people want? We listen to you. And then go tell our experts, please create something for what they've said. Instead of me being like, I know best.
Yes.
Use this. It's we flip the script. And so it is so community driven in its DNA that I think also is the reason why people really like the authenticity and the kind of, and we're just really honest about it. Like the fact that all our ingredients and their percentages of our hero ingredients are written on the packaging. I don't know of too many other brands or maybe any other brands who do that to that level of, honesty. It's like, we have niacinamide, but at this percentage. We have squalene at this percentage and turmeric at this percentage. So yeah, I am really proud of that part.
You should be. And even your photos on here, none of them are filtered, right?
No.
And they're all showing your true skin. And you know that, I think what I'm hearing from you, the theme is just be yourself, and that authenticity runs through whichever work you're doing. But I've been a customer, like I said, for a while. And the thing I was most surprised about is for the price point and how much it is, it's huge.
Yeah.
The bottle is huge. I remember receiving it and thinking, like, have they sent me a large one? Because normally when you buy serums, they're tiny bottles. They don't last a lot. And it's very easy to be consistent. You're right, because you have 2 different colors.
Yeah.
This is the other thing as well. It's very easy to distinguish. And I know that sounds simple, but for someone like me who really isn't that much into skincare, I read your reviews. I bought both of them. And I've been using them for ages. And I really feel like they do give me a bit of a glow. But I'm not really
glowing. No bias.
I'm not really a skincare fanatic, because I think now it's so complex, right? There's so many layers. You have to use this and this and this. This is easy. I just use this. The SPF drops. And I use a moisturizer. Sometimes I don't even use a moisturizer because this is quite nourishing in itself.
It is.
And so for me, it's like a very simple, easy routine. And I think that's what people love about it too.
Yeah. And I think that was also very intentionally done. It was, instead of you using many different products with single ingredients in it, we give you 7 products in one. And so you don't have to worry about buying so many things and having a 7-step skincare routine and We've done the thinking for you, because I'm basically a customer as well. And we get the experts to back it all, clinically tested, like create it in the optimal percentages, Everything is done, put into one bottle. You know you're good to go to work after this one.
I love it. Now, the thing I haven't tried yet is this oil. Now, this oil in the campaign with your mum is so powerful. And your mum has the most amazing, most beautiful, you do as well, but your mum, this hair is like down to here, right? It's crazy. So tell me a little bit about that campaign with your mum.
So mum, to me, is, I think, one of the most beautiful women in every way. Like, her aura is unreal. If she would walk into this room now, she would just like absorb us in with her like insanely beautiful energy. On top of that, of course, she's very spiritual, but Mum's hair is such a like part of her identity now, because she's a Punjaban, and she had really long hair since she was young, because she never has cut it because it's part of her thing. But when she was a teenager, she for the first time built this hair oil on pure intuition. And it's a true story. Like, she literally, my granddad, her dad, would pray and would ask her from the garden in Chennai, even though the Punjabis live in Chennai, to get hibiscus flowers to offer to God. And then she would bring them, and the next day the flowers would have to be thrown. And so Mom always felt bad because she's like, these are blessed flowers. I can't just throw them in the bin. So what she did with the hibiscus flowers, and she had no idea at that point that they had any good ingredients or good, any like active ingredients in hibiscus that's good for hair, nothing. She just knew that. And she put it together with a combination of like sesame and coconut oil and stuff, because her mom would have said something like, these are good. And then just, how us Indians do our champi, she started doing the champi with that oil. Over the course then of the next many decades, as Mom's journey in life grew and she became an Ayurvedic doctor, and then moved to Delhi, and then to Uti, and then to Pondicherry for a bit, like all around India, and then to Holland at the end as well, as she got more and more knowledgeable, added more and more ingredients into it. So this hair oil is so comprehensive. It has 16 oils and herbs in it, from Bhringraj, Brahmi, Amla, fenugreek seed, like literally any herb that you could think of that can help with hair growth is pretty much in there. But for me, one of the most beautiful things is Ayurvedic hair oils usually stink.
They do.
Because the herbs are intense. Mum did a small stint at Auroville in Pondicherry, which is, you can Google it, it's this amazing ashram, but they focus on aromatherapy. And they focus on how essential oils can change mood and make you sleep better. So she did this entire course on aromatherapy. And then since then, she's been obsessed with scent, but natural, like, essential oils kind of scent. So the beauty of this oil is that it has champa, lavender, and jasmine to give you that self-care, stress-free moment. And that, to me, is also, I think, the reason why this oil is so popular, is because people expect to get the stinky Ayurvedic hair oil. but it's like actually smells amazing.
Yeah.
And so it has the benefits of everything you would want, plus more, like for hair growth and density and conditioning. But it also doesn't smell horrible. So you can just kind of keep it on all day if you want.
Amazing.
Yeah. And so for the launch campaign, so when I first actually asked Mom, can we do this? Like, can we, our brand Indē Wild is doing really well. And I said, actually, Mom, your oil would be like an homage to everything in our culture and all that good stuff. She said, no. She was like,
it's like my mom.
Yeah. She's like, it's a family secret. I'm not going to tell the world about this. It's our thing, And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I get that. But I'm like, Mom, the world could benefit so much from it. But she just felt really uncomfortable with the whole thing. She's like, but it's like so personal. It's my life. Like if this oil, what, like, I don't even know. Like, have you like tested it? Will it even work for people? She was really doubtful about all of that. And I was like, Mom, you know what? Let's just create it first. We'll test it. And then we'll see if everything you've done, has worked out. She said, no. Finally, it was her birthday last year. And I was like, I think this smells quite well, I think. But I was like, Mom, this is your legacy. Like, please share this with the world. Like, if people could have hair like you, and if people's like hair growth could stop, and if people could, hair is in our culture, such an important, empowering thing. And I'm like, if we could give people that through your story and through your journey, that would be incredible. And she's like, fine, you're so good with your words. and there it started the journey of her writing down every ingredient that she put. We took it to a lab, to an Ayurvedic lab in India. And we got like their lead chemist to start kind of working on the recipe identical to Mom's. Obviously packaged it differently. And like the chumpy hair was a beautiful story as well. At one point, I've always used this oil on a Sunday and chumpy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait. And at one point I started kind of looking up. Nobody in the world had taken the name chumpy hair oil. And I'm like, why? Can we as Indē Wild give the world chumpy? Because the Western world doesn't even know what a chumpy is. Like the same way we gave them Ayurveda and we gave them meditation and yoga. A chumpy is a 5,000-year-old head massage technique using oil. That is, I think, the reason some Indians have the most insane hair.
Yeah.
And so we decided to call it the chumpy hair oil and use that kind of ritual within the products. And then obviously Mom being the face of everything. And we launched and it was, I think, one of the most insanely successful launches we've done so far.
It really is amazing. And, I wish we had more time because I have so much to ask you and so much to speak about. I feel, just so in awe of your journey, and I hope one day we can do a part 2.
Yes, I would love that.
But thank you so much for having me, and I will see you for part 2.
Everyone, and thank you so much for listening and watching this podcast. Wherever you're listening or watching, if you could please press the follow, like, and subscribe button, it would really mean the world to me.